So it's RelationshipISH. It's MonneXo.
It's Brittany.
We're here with Blame It On Besties, Alisha and Ashley.
For episode, what is this? 5 or 6?
I think it's
oh,
6.
It's 6.
Okay. We almost to 10.
Okay, look at us.
But today we're going to be focusing on romantic relationships. So I'm super excited to talk about it with the besties, Alisha and Ashley. How you guys doing?
Doing good. How are y'all?
We're doing good. So before we really dive into this conversation, I think it's only right we let the people know how we come in when it comes to relationships, So our status. I'll go first. So yes, I'm in a committed relationship. I've been with my man for about 5 years.
Okay.
And my second relationship status would be self-love, because if you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else.
I know that's right.
That's true.
I say that's my relationship status. Self-love. I love myself.
Yes. As you should. I love that energy.
You definitely should. Yes. No, my relationship status. So I am a divorced person, but I don't consider that my relationship status because that was just a period in my life. My relationship status is happy, and that's just how I feel.
Yes.
I'm just happy, so I'm just doing that. But her DMs are open. So slip and slide.
Slide in her DMs.
You can just DM, blame it on besties.
I say you gotta watch that though. You have the wrong person DM you.
And then they'll be right on the block list.
Nonetheless, she said her DMs are open. She's ready to mingle. If you come correct.
If you could please don't come on no. Don't do that. No. So yes, please come correct.
Oh man. Ashley, what about you?
Okay, so my relationship status is I'm figuring it out. It's a plot twist though. So the person that I'm figuring it out with is someone I've already been in a relationship with. And we've been broken up for 3.5 years. So I'm trying to figure it out.
So y'all figuring out this relationship?
Yes. We were once engaged.
Wow.
The engagement was broken off, and here we are again. So
okay.
Beyonce?
I'm rooting for you, girl.
Yes, Beyonce.
Beyonce, okay.
So I think that kind of ties into our first conversation of what's the difference between a healthy relationship and a toxic one.
Yeah, I need the tips, so come on. I'm listening.
So I got my notes ready.
I'm ready.
For me, I just think as it relates to toxic relationships, when you're in one, but it's so hard to get out of it because unfortunately toxic relationships feels good in certain areas of it's okay,
certain areas are areas.
You with somebody who
type, areas, you know what I'm saying?
You be like, I don't like you, but I really like the way you do this or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I'm waiting to hear too because I need to know for the next one.
I agree with you. I think we have an idea that we know that something's not right with this, but that person makes you feel good, like you said, you got certain things y'all go through, and it's like, man, do I want to give this up? But I think for you to think like that's toxic. That's
of course.
Obviously a sign of maybe I shouldn't be with this person or dealing with them. So definitely the thought of questioning, what are they doing? What am I doing? Type of feeling, feeling down on yourself, insecurities, definitely tied to it. We all have our insecure moments in our relationships. Don't get me wrong. And I feel like if somebody says they don't, I don't believe that, but to be always insecure about who somebody's talking to, where they going at night, who they texting in their phone, I think that's when that's a toxic relationship.
Yeah, you make really good points because like you were saying earlier, it's a gut feeling. And most of the time people like to ignore that gut feeling, but most of the time it is right. And you tend to make excuses for stuff for them. No, they are great. Oh, but they do this, but they do that. But are you really compromising what you really want out of a relationship? That's how I feel like you can really evaluate if it's toxic or not. Are they making you do things that you wouldn't necessarily do or accept? That's another thing that would make it toxic.
Yeah.
But then my question would then be, whose responsibility is it to I see that toxicity and then walk away, because is it like the person who is doing the action, like, okay, I'm really unhealthy for this person, or is it the person being treated a certain way, like, okay, I'm being treated this way, so I should, whose responsibility is it to walk away?
I think it's both.
Right, that's what I say.
Go ahead, Ashley.
Yeah, they both.
No, I was just gonna. It is. I feel like it's both people's responsibility. But if you're being treated bad and you decide to stay around, then you're putting yourself through misery. You need to get yourself together and realize that you need to walk away. So you can't blame the other person.
Y'all both toxic.
Right.
Toxic.
But one of y'all gonna have to figure it out, though.
Exactly. And then it's like, I stay with this person, so now I'm labeled toxic because I'm taking this. Or some people be like, okay, this person's being toxic, so I'm about to give them a taste of their own medicine, and then they become toxic, and now you're in this. I don't know.
Get like, a rolling ball effect. I think another thing is people know what they can do to you. You know what I'm saying? What people allow, what you allow people to do, they will continue to do.
Narcissists.
Feel comfortable? Yeah. They will just continue to do that. And they feel like, well, she or he don't really care if I go out and cheat, or she or he don't care if I'm like texting somebody else. Like, I'm allowed to do that since you haven't left me, or you haven't like made any like repercussions or like ultimatums or anything. They think that's acceptable behavior. And I think you need to decipher what is acceptable behavior to have a healthy relationship.
And to be honest with you, like, I've had a situation like that, and it could be a million people telling you this is what you're supposed to do, but you're not going to do it until you're ready to do it, no matter what. So I've always been understanding of people dealing with situations like that, because I've been there and I know how it feels, and I know how it feels to be insecure and have, deal with low self-esteem. And that was something that I had to work on for myself. So if I see somebody else going through it, it's like, okay, you must have been going through similar things that I went through. And, like, it just takes time to understand and figure out, like, hey, I'm not taking care of myself right now.
Well, for the toxic relationships I've been in, like, Ashley and I spoke about in another episode of our relationship podcast, or our relationship episode on Blame It On Besties. We talk about our relationships, and I will say 2 of those relationships were very toxic, and I found myself feeling like if I left that person, it would, like, leaving them would be worse than staying. And I say that because one of them was my ex-husband. I really thought, like, if I left him, our kids are, aren't going to have 2 parents, and it's going to be awful. And everyone's going to talk about how my marriage failed. And I'd rather just be in this relationship that wasn't working for either of us than admit failure, or admit that I'm doing things a different way than what I intended, or what I said, or what I tried. So I think also just dealing with like you said, insecurities. And sometimes insecurities, a lot of the times, don't have to necessarily be physical, or even within yourself. It can kind of just be, okay, well, what will other people see of me, or what am I projecting out there? What image am I putting out? So
I like that you said that, because I think as women, we go through that. Like, we don't want to look a certain type of way. Especially you see your best friend or somebody, they looking all happy. I mean, everybody got their problems in their relationship.
Of course.
But like, it's like you said, it's ties into insecurities of like, dang, I don't want to look like this to my friends or my family. I don't want to feel bad about myself for making these poor decisions just because I necessarily may not want to be alone at that time.
Right.
I know I've definitely been there, as far as, like I said, we were once engaged and then we broke up. I was so embarrassed to let everyone know, oh my gosh, we're not getting married. So many people were like, please invite me to the wedding. You all have the perfect relationship. You're like relationship goals. I want to be like you. And then it's like, oh yeah, we didn't work out. So I don't know if I'm more upset that we broke up, or just how everyone would perceive the situation. I was just mortified. So
no, public perception definitely can, have a effect on you. And it's like, embarrassing in a way.
It's very embarrassing.
It's like, oh, so like y'all failed, like what happened? Like, but things do happen. And like with my previous situation, I found myself accepting things that I wouldn't normally do when it comes to relationships. I was okay with the talking stage and no progression. I was like, well, as long as you're not talking to nobody, I'm not talking to nobody. And, we text and, we hang out here or there. I'm okay with that. Looking back, why was I okay with that? I'm worth more than that. And that is somebody.
Say that.
Yes,
say that.
I am worth more. We all are worth more. And once you recognize your worth, you'll find out like, why did I even do that? But it is still a process and journey. And I had to go through that to really understand, like in my current relationship, like this is somebody I almost lost my virginity to as well. I would probably be very bitter if I actually went through with it. And, I thank God I didn't go through with it, but just really analyzing that situation, just being okay with being mediocre and no progression or anything, just the bare minimum, if you will.
See, and I think another thing that ties into toxic relationships or situationships, for that matter, is, rushing. Like, how many times have we or someone we've known rushed into, whether it was a relationship or rushed into being intimate or, rushed into meet their family and they don't got that title type of thing. I think that's another thing that is something that we have to pay attention to, because there are people out there that be trying to rush you and do things, be on their time, and you may not be ready. And as an individual, if you're not ready, then you need to say it. Or you gonna go through some things.
You need to communicate that. And I think when things happen more organically, things will be better. If you rush any process of a relationship, because you never know what the other person might be going through or what you're going through, and making sure you're on the same page before you even try to put that pressure on somebody else. That's not right. Even though you have goals, y'all should already know what y'all intentions are for the relationship first, and then moving forward. If one person is on one page, like, I'm trying to get married tomorrow, another person's just like, I'm just trying to get to know you. I don't know where this is going. I just want to see how things go, trying to analyze it, because you never know what that person went through in their previous relationship. Maybe they've been hurt in the past and they want to go at a slower pace. And the other person just like, I'm ready to go. I'm kind of tired of doing this dating thing, but you can't do that. You cannot do that. You have to organically make a relationship and actually get to know one another and be on the same page. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
So I think also, like how you said, a prior situation you had, I think some people abuse that getting to know stage, because
they do.
You know what I mean? Because like, okay, we've been getting to know each other for a long time now.
Let's say it's been 2 years.
It's either at this point,
I think people definitely know within the first couple of months, like, oh, I'm ready to take the next step. At least, like, let's be in a relationship.
I've heard that men be knowing within like the first like week or two. I don't know if that's true or not, but most like my homeboys have said like, we know like up front if we want to be in a relationship with you or not.
That's really interesting, because they don't say that.
Why don't they just say it?
They'll never say it. They'll never say it to the girl. I think,
but especially if they were open and honest about that, I think that would really help a lot in relationships in general.
Men got more pride than us with stuff and ego. Like they on a whole different level.
But if you were to be like, hey, the only thing what I'm looking for right now with you is this, that, and the third, then it's like, okay, then I can move how I choose to move. But if you try to fake it like it's something else, and then 6 months, a year, whatever, you're just like going back and forth. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to act like I've never talked to a guy that's like, hey, honestly, our situation is we are satisfying a particular need. That's what your purpose is right now. And then that's just that. And then and then it's other times where it's like, oh no, I really could see something with you. So just how guys feel like, girls, only certain girls are, I know what I want. We know too.
We really do.
I say men are selfish though. Like they want their cake and eat it too type thing. So
I would love a guy's perspective on this.
Yeah.
Sure. I want to hear, like, especially that if they know early on, why don't they say anything? Does that make them feel like, soft, or they want to come on too strong, or they just really trying to ride the wave and analyze the situation themselves? I would really want a guy's perspective on this to see, how do y'all really know? Do y'all have a gut feeling like we do? Is it like the chemistry, or is just something about the person that you just know? And how early on do you actually know?
Yeah. I say enough of this toxic talk. Let's start talking about healthy relationships.
Let me take out my
green flag. Green flag.
Because I need to know. Let me write
I say no. Brittany needs to school us all. Come on now, girl. Tell us the gems.
Brittany, I have nothing. Let me get my notes.
I think
I got my notes ready.
Okay, she ready. I think a lot of times when we talk about relationships, everybody immediately be like, "This is what you don't do." But what about the things that this is on the right track for actual healthy relationship? I would definitely say communication, and people make time for what they want. People always make time for what they want. If they're really genuinely interested in you and the communication is great, that's a good sign. They should not ever let a whole day go by and there's no communication. I'm not saying that you have to text all day, every day. You ain't got to sit up on a phone all night. But I mean, if you can't talk into the nighttime, why not, make your conversation a little bit longer then? Or if you're more of a morning person, like just a check-in, there should not be a day that there's no communication made. Because then now it's like, do you even care? You know what I'm saying? Like having that constant communication is a good sign, and it's a good thing to do. Also, being secure within yourself. If the person seems to trust you and they don't care if you're out with your girls or out with your guys, that's a good sign, because they know, like, what you got at home. You know what I'm saying? Like, I trust you enough. I'm comfortable with myself and with you that I don't feel like you're doing anything, that wouldn't be great for our relationship. Another good sign, date nights. I know that just sounds like really like simple, but if being outside the house of Netflix and chill, like we don't have to be cooped up in the house. Like I think date nights are very important and essential, whether it's a relationship or a marriage. It keeps things fun. It keeps things fresh. It's a different way of knowing your partner and really, discovering everybody's likes and dislikes and interests. Another good sign I would say is having somebody that's supportive of what you do and not being jealous or anything. They're actually a real cheerleader of what you do. Like, I support you, you support me, and letting your partner be an individual. When you let your partner be an individual, it's only better when y'all come together, then y'all feel more whole and one. Don't be smothering them. Like, let them do their thing, what they're interested in, and you do yours. When y'all come together, y'all a bigger force together. I think that's where a lot of people forget. Like, you still are individual in a relationship.
Yeah. I love the date night thing that you talked about, because, sometimes that gets lost in relationships of, oh my God, we got to do date night again. But in reality, like, you use date night to, relearn your partner, because everybody changes every day. Like, we grow. People that are married for 30 plus years, you think they've been the same those 30 years? No, not at all.
You should be evolving, if anything.
I say, if you're not, like, there's an issue. There's a toxic relationship.
You make a good point, because a lot of people, in relationships tend to get comfortable. You shouldn't be that comfortable. You should still set some time aside for your partner, whether you are married with kids or you just, just starting a relationship. It's really important, because remember, you started the union first before the kids even came. And I think a lot of times with relationships, after kids come, they kind of forgot what was the essence of their relationship. So when the kids grow up and are out the house, it's like you're with a stranger all over.
Like, what do we do now?
Yeah, you sound like my mom. My mom thinks the exact same way as you. And, that's how I see her perspective, even though my situation is different than hers. Yeah, I see where she comes from with it, because you're right. Like, now that me and my brother are grown, like, who's at home? My daddy.
Exactly. So, and you have to relearn your partner. You do. So having that component while you have kids or when you don't have kids, to have that date night is really critical. Like I said, it sounds small, but it's like a huge part to really keep it thriving.
And it's fun. Like,
it is.
Dressed up, and I guess what I would do in my imaginary relationship that worked out perfectly would be to, like, go and you go ahead and, like, we get a little room or something. You go get dressed, you're in your space, I get dressed in my space. We meet and, like, go get something to eat, maybe going back to the room, and then we go back to the kid, in a few hours. But it's just like little fun things like that, like how you're saying, it just keeps the relationship fresh.
Yep.
You're learning how to court your mate, because you should always be courting. And the 5 years ago, 5 minutes ago, I probably wouldn't like the same thing I like now. So it's definitely the constant learning and trying new things, and just to have that.
I definitely need date nights.
Date nights are essential, y'all. It is. It's such a big part.
I'm saying they don't have to be expensive. You know,
social
media making
a walk in the park
think,
is romantic. Okay, a little picnic in the park is romantic.
It doesn't take much for me. I'm just like, baby, oh my God, we're going to the park. Like, I'll just be excited just to spend time with you.
Simple things really make the biggest impact.
I've had a date night where we did like painting with a twist at home. So we just had our wine, bought the little canvas and painted at home. Whereas, it's the same concept. You going to the actual place, but it's more intimate at home anyway.
It is.
Yeah. I also like the piece you talked about with communication.
Yes.
And you said little things like consistency. So my question would be, at what point should you expect consistency? At what point? Because I think my issue is knowing when it moves from talking to, okay, now, like we said, we're exclusive, to relationship. I think that I have never, does that even exist, where there's clear steps of, okay, first we're getting to know each other. Maybe I don't talk to you every day. Now we're exclusive. So maybe I talk to you. I just don't know. Like,
it's always a thin line, and it's really weird, but I think most times to really get clarification, you should just ask. I know it always feels weird to have that conversation to, what are we? You know what I'm saying? But just making sure, people need to know. So like, you got to make sure they're on the same page as you. So even just having that conversation, like, hey, I think, we've been rocking with each other for a good amount of time now. I feel a connection. Do you, you know what I'm saying? And would you be wanting to move on with this? Like, what are your intentions moving forward? We have been talking for a good 2 months, 3 months now. Where do you see things going?
So are you expecting consistency and communication in that getting to know phase?
Yeah, it's kind of like, to me, a testing period. Yeah, to kind of see like what kind of communicator you are. Like, are you really interested? Like I said before, people will make time for what they want. If they really are interested in you, they will find some part of the day to talk to you. Nobody's too busy for anything. And I don't honestly care what anybody say about that.
Most of the time when you're in that talking stage, that I have seen, like with my friends or, people around me, that women may date other people, but they know who they want and they give their time. Yeah. So like, you're going to know if, something's not right with you, if this is like, okay, they playing around, because like me personally, if I've talked to somebody, I know who I'm trying to call 9:00 at night type thing, trying to cake. And Blue Moon may go on a date type thing, but like women, we know. So like Brittany was saying, like the whole communication thing, it's hard, we may think it's easy to be like, okay, let me go ask him. But, it is hard to ask somebody you're just talking to, like, what are we? Like you said, what are we? You don't want to feel
sometimes you need to know and instead of letting too much time pass. And then it's like,
time. No.
It's worse to wait.
It's not, seem like no purpose to it. So
as an adult, I say, you kind of think back on things you've done in high school, and it's like, I'm so naive. Where, in our late 20s, 30s, we don't have time to be dating 30 million people.
The thing is, you got to know that maturity level too. I think that's how you can kind of gauge somebody's maturity level. Like, okay, now I'm not dating in my early 20s or, late, teenage years. Like, I'm actually, grown.
I'm looking for a husband.
That part.
People are dating with a purpose right now, especially like they're looking for true companionship, and you got to see if somebody's still on board or they're just trying to still sort their oats, so to say. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that, but we're just not compatible because I know what I want.
That's not what I'm looking for.
Right, exactly. Or another good green flag would be if they really try to learn your love language. So, some people really like the little gifts, what I'm saying? Like, oh, I just like when you give me flowers kind of thing. Or, another love language, I just love when you just give me something to eat or you do something around the house or what have you, or we're just spending quality time together.
Yeah.
Just kind of knowing, you know, what people kind of like more. I think that will help them better, you know, serve you and like love you.
And I'm glad you touched on love language because, yes, that is an important factor in a healthy relationship. But that can also be spun into a toxic thing, because I've had a situation where, yes, we understood and, you know, try to do things according to our love languages. But it was to a point of like every conversation was, this ain't your love language. And I'm like, I'm not a book.
Right.
You know, like, it's not like
it don't have to be strict to that, but you know what people you should know what they like more than others. Not that they wouldn't like any other love.
Like, it was literally like
a little more.
This is not your love language. You don't like this, or I thought this was your love language. And I'm like, I get that, but not every day I want to do this type of thing. You know,
irritated. I would have
that quick. First of all,
that's why I think that just
might be a certain situation. That might be a case by case situation. Maybe because that particular person was just a stickler on everything and want to make sure he's doing everything quote unquote perfect. Remember, newsflash, nobody is perfect. So I think a lot of it is going with the flow and just seeing what they naturally kind of gravitate to. Mm-hmm. Okay.
10 minute.
Yes. Okay. So like, what about balancing your relationship in your own personal space?
I think for me, that's different because when I think about my personal space, it's always a little person just there. So I have 2 kids. They're very small. They're 5 and 3. So they're always like looking for me. And I think even first getting that, like, hey, mommy just needs a minute to have just a personal moment. And then when you need that personal moment, you're kind of away from the kids. Now your partner, like, hey, I know we're usually like, I'm yelling at the kids when we're trying to talk, but I just need a minute. And balancing that for me is really hard. I already know that because I'll have, be talking to guys or whatever and texting, and or on the phone, I'm just like, hey, I can't FaceTime or I can't talk right now because I'm doing this, and third. And I don't have that, okay, well, between these hours, they're going to be for me. And these hours are going to be for me to converse with whoever or spend time with whatever significant. And then these are, I don't have that. So setting those boundaries, I'm sure are important, but that's really hard for me.
Boundaries are important.
Balancing is hard with kids. So I can only imagine, having 2 and then like with my situation, like my kid is 10. So so it's like she's grown. I can't just talk to anybody. I can't just be having conversations with just any dude or letting anybody meet her because
they notice.
Like they notice when they're little, but they really notice when right between preteen, teenager, and they remember.
Who's that?
Right. Who's I don't like them. They seem a little funny. You know what I'm saying? How they're
very vocal.
Yeah. What about you, Ashley? How do you think you would balance relationships and personal space, or how have you handled that?
For me, I like my personal space, so it's weird. So I like to spend time with the person I'm with, but let's just say he enjoys playing the game. I watch YouTube a lot.
I know that too well. Mine does. That's all you do.
Yeah. So when you're taking your time to play the game, I'm watching YouTube. We don't always have to be up under each other, but I mean, if we're in the same room, or even if you want to go out with your friends, I want to go hang with my friends. Me and Alisha talk on the phone all the time. So I kind of just let them know up front, like, yes, I love spending time with you, but my personal time is very important to me. So at some point within the day, I'm gonna like dip off, even if we're in the same room. I got my headphones in, I'm watching YouTube, you're playing the game. And then after a while, if I look over, I'm like, hey, you've been on the game for a while. Like, let's talk.
That's me. I was saying, you've been on the game for a while.
Like, you still playing the game?
It's 2 a.m. Can we talk?
You've been at it for a while. I know.
You're not tired of that?
Guys, come on. It's my time now.
Yeah. So then we kind of just come back together. But I don't know, just somehow my relationships, it kind of just falls into place because I'm going to, no matter what, get my time to myself. I have to.
I think that's what makes it healthy. If you, like I said before, being an individual, you're still an individual. You still have your own personal interests and things that you like to do. You still have your own friends, your own family, your own everything. and you're combining the two, but you don't have to do it all the time. Every time I'm out with my friends, you do not have to come, especially when it's girls' night.
You're not
invited.
That's just on period.
You're not invited, and I don't want to go to your guys' night, and I shouldn't be invited. Like, what do I need to be there for? You know, if it's a co-ed situation, and you know, everybody kind of knows my partner and stuff, why not? Like, I don't mind. I kind of do both.
I love a couples trip now. Oh, I love a couples trip, but I love a girls trip. Like, I love both.
That's it, right? We love a
girls trip not so long ago, and I'm like, all right, babe, I'll be back on Monday. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just balancing that. I like how you said, Ashley, like, we don't have to be in the same room, because that's like similar to my situation. He loves playing the game, and then I'll just find something on Netflix to watch, or I'm probably on the phone with my friend anyway, or you know, some of my family members. So it kind of works out. Like, he still gets to do his hobbies, and I still get to do mine. Like, one of my main hobbies now is doing this podcasting.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So, you know, I just like that, you know, embracing different things that they want to do, and still doing things they want to do on this side. And I'm doing what I'm doing, you know, having that space, and then you appreciate each other more when you come back together. So.
Yeah, for sure.
And that person also, like, I know when I'm with someone, I don't want you to be up under me. Like, have your own life.
No,
so let me miss you. Let me wonder what you're doing.
Yeah.
Wonder what
that's toxic if they feel like they have to be around you all day.
It's like a control thing. I
say
control and
it's a personal thing.
Yeah, like, because you shouldn't feel like you need to be by somebody all the time. No. That's bigger.
Some people think that's what love is.
No,
like,
it's not.
I can't live without this person. It's like, oh no, baby, you got something else going on. That's not.
Yeah, that's a turn off.
You got bigger fish to fry talking about you need me all the time.
I say we used to. It's crazy because, you know, when we was younger, we used to think that was cute. I don't want you to need me.
You didn't know, right? You didn't know any better than you got grown, and you looking like, I like my own space.
That's how those fairy tale movies we used to watch, and they try to make it like you need your Prince Charming type thing.
No, you don't. You need your friends.
I need you to get on my list.
Your friend. I need my sanity. I like having you around, but I'll be okay without you.
I will be okay.
I pay my own bills.
I prefer to have, but I'll definitely be all right. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I love that. Yes, having personal space in a relationship is just so important. It just makes things easier, and it makes things flow a lot better, and not feeling like you're suffocating each other.
Yeah. Now, to wrap up our conversation, I want to know, do relationships always have to be romantic?
When you're like dating somebody?
Like,
you're saying, you saying like, you know, friends with benefits type of relationship? Like,
yes, any type of romantic relationship that you think is a relationship situation.
Hold on, is it like you're not talking about friendship? You're talking about a relationship.
I'm talking about a relationship. Does it always have to be romantic, like all the time?
It shouldn't be.
Can that be your homeboy one day?
Yes, please be my homie.
I need you to be my homeboy, because I can't deal with the sappy stuff all the time.
No, I can't.
I need you to be my homie. Like, I need to come to you. I need you to take the boyfriend hat off and put the homeboy hat on. We need to just chop it up.
Yes.
You can't always.
I want to go to
others
concerts.
Should be your best friend.
I want to.
Yes.
I want to go to like football games. Whatever. I just want to do friend thing, basketball. I want to do friend things. Please turn the romance off sometimes.
I'm glad to hear that.
No, because then when you get it, it's just like, it's not that you don't appreciate it. It's just like, oh, okay.
But I feel like relationships that have friendships are always better than just the ones that are strictly like relationship wise, you know?
Oh yeah, like always romantic, like calm down. I feel like you appreciate it more when you do romantic things, like sometimes or when it's necessary. But if you always like that, like remember, like a relationship is essentially a friendship. Exactly. Why not build that friendship?
I don't need a hopeless romantic 24/7.
No, I don't.
In fact, I prefer just to be friends majority of the time, like 75% of the time, 80% of the time. Let's just kick it. Like
I like that.
Yeah, let's kick it. And yeah, I've even learned. I had an ex, and he taught me how to play like the game box or whatever, and I was
the game box. Here she goes.
She said game box, y'all.
Oh,
we get it.
Definitely need that friendship.
Girls, I don't know.
Definitely. your, significant other needs to be your best friend for sure.
100%.
And
that ties into the healthy relationship.
Conversation about just any and everything, like you would with your, your actual friends.
Right.
If I can't come home and talk to you about my day like you're one of my girls, I don't need you.
Or like, look, guess what happened today? Or
yes,
it's fun in a relationship when you can gossip.
Oh, God. I didn't want to be the one to say it, but
let me tell you about this heifer at work.
Oh my God. Or you be
Dan took my stapler again.
Did y'all see them? Like, I love gossiping.
Like, when you go out with somebody, you be like,
family business, friend business. You
no, that's like because they're not gonna tell nobody.
Exactly.
You can trust that person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
that's the best part.
This has been a really good conversation about romantic relationships.
It has.
So to wrap this up, thank you so much, Blame It On Besties, for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, this has been great. This has been episode 6 of RelationshipISH